Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm very excited for the amazing discussion that we are going to have today because I want to talk to you about a skill that is so important, so powerful, and so necessary. Yet, a lot of us we miss it out and we don't even pay close attention to it. When we think of success, when we think of achieving a big goal, when we think of any ideal outcome in life, be it in any area, this skill often is considered to be a waste of time rather than something that helps you perform better, rather than something that truly aligns to your life and your goals. And that's why most of us spend so long of a time chasing goals that aren't ours. We spend time in relationships that aren't meant to be. We spend time and effort and money pursuing things that we are not meant to do, and what we end up with ultimately is a sense of regret. And we think, wait, what did I do wrong? Why does life feel so empty despite me trying everything? Well, the reason for that is you missed out on this important and crucial skill that a lot of us need to have, but a lot of us unfortunately don't. And you may feel like this is a problem that exists for just, people who are mediocre, people who are not successful. Well, I'd like to break that myth for you and tell you that this is a problem that even some of the richest, most successful people in the world have. So it's got nothing to do with your skill, it's got nothing to do with where you are in life. But here's the best part: if you can master the skill, you're all set to become the best version of yourself in every single area of your life. And the skill I'm talking about is just the skill of getting down to a moment in just allowing yourself to sit down and think. Yes, I know. The most boring thing to do in today's world is exactly what I am telling you to do. Sit down and think. And I'm not the only one who's saying this. Warren Buffett, who's one of the biggest business leaders from America, who's completely changed the way finance and investments are looked upon in the world, such a revolutionary person, he himself has said, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm not word to word, but you'll get what I mean. He himself said, in today's American business scenario, what is needed the most is the ability for people to just sit down and think for some time every single day. And yet, that practice is very uncommon in American business today. And I think he said this, what I think 20, 30 years ago. I'm not sure the number, but if that time it was a problem, today I would say it's a tsunami. With AI coming in, with so much information rushing our ways, we are slowly but steadily losing our ability to think for ourselves. And even though this may seem like I'm raising an alarm that doesn't need to be released, that doesn't need to be raised, trust me on this. 5 years later, if you develop the critical thinking skills now that I'm going to talk about and you can explore further, you will be so grateful that you took the time to make it happen. And if you don't, if you treat this as something, like, yeah, good to have, I'll see, I still have time, I'll ask Chat GPT. Anyways, Chat GPT is there to help me. 5 years later, you will be holding your head in your hands in regret, thinking, why didn't I build this when I still had the time? Because I want to share an honest observation with you that I have been seeing. I don't just want to come here on this channel to give you like positivity, motivation, great thinking, and tata, bye bye, we're done. No, I want to help you be able to see the paradox that human reality is. And in that paradox, my friends, comes the fact that there are certain skills, there are certain aspects of a world that are ever changing. AI is fast becoming one of those aspects. And there, ironically, rather than delegating execution, what we're delegating is the thinking process. And that's the worst thing we could do. Because what makes a human being unique is not their ability to execute. Understand this. What makes us unique is not our ability to execute, it is our ability to think. And if you lose it, 5 years down the line, you're going to sit there with regret, with worry, with this thing like, you know what? I really should have learned this because now I'm stuck up in almost every way in my life and I don't know how to come out. Like a few years ago, not a few years ago, a few decades ago, it was very easy for people to remember hundreds of phone numbers on their fingertips. Why? Well, cell phones didn't exist, memory cards didn't exist, And because those things weren't there, the problem that was happening was people had to figure out a way to remember names, people had to figure out a way to remember the numbers, and they couldn't carry a big yellow phone book everywhere, right? So they built the skill to remember that, to remember those numbers. The parts of the brain required for memory function were really at a high level then. Now, today, how many of you remember hundreds of phone numbers by heart? None of us do. Our smartphones do the job for us, right? They hold the information, they remember the information, and that's good because our brain is designed to have ideas and not hold them, not store them. So it's good to have external storage machines that allow our brain and mind the space to think, the air to breathe, to finally come up with something new, novel, and something that truly inspires us in the world. We all have the capacity for that genius within us, and yet, by avoiding the skill of thinking, by avoiding the boring work of thinking, by avoiding this fundamental principle that even Warren Buffett has claimed to be of such high importance, we are risking the same phenomenon, the same phone book scenario, but this time not with remembering information, but with creativity, with drive, with endeavor, with focus, with agility, with security, with this ability to be ourselves. Because as and when we continue to grow with AI, it homogenizes every single one of us. Notice the pattern, right? It says the same things, it responds in the same ways. And even though it may feel like, oh my God, it knows so much, here's one thing I'll tell you about AI. If you don't have the skills, AI is a mile wide, but an inch deep. It doesn't have depth. It can give you shallow insights. But to get to the depth that AI even holds, for you to think big, you need to have a drill. You need to have a ground moving machine. You need to have an excavator that can break through the shallowness, go for the depths, and reach for the treasures. Well, in the modern world, the excavator is your thinking skills. The earth moving machine is your ability to question and reflect and understand every single thing that's going on in the world, not to cram knowledge, but to build your thinking skills better. And that is why I say this. Please stop delegating your thinking to AI. And there's a point, I think, in 2024 where I made a very big mistake. And the reason I want to share this with you is to help you understand what happens when you delegate your thinking away, okay? I was working on the draft of my next book. Oh, I think this was 2023, not even 2024. So Chat GPT was still in its very early versions. And I'm glad I made this mistake back then so I could see through the glaring issues. I love being a writer. I love prioritizing my skill. I love the effort that it takes to think through problems, to think of a new sentence structure, all of those things. I absolutely adore that thing, even when it's hard. Like, I just love it. But here's the mistake I made. So I was working on the next draft of the book, and like, I have an experimental mindset. Like, anything new comes, you cannot stop me from exploring it or tinkering around with it. I will just do it. Like, that curiosity is, it will keep boiling in me until I get the chance to try it and put my hands in it. So what I did in 2023 was, as I was working on that draft, it's like, maybe ChatGPT knows how to write better than me. After all, the content is mine. I'll just ask it to rewrite and edit. I spent 5 days working with ChatGPT, morning to evening, trying to rewrite the whole book. And every time it gave something, I was, wow, I didn't think of this. Wow, I didn't think of this. Wow, I didn't think of this. And I was like, you know what? This is gonna be the best book ever. Because every section I was giving in, it was giving me a 10 times better version of that. Every section I was giving in, something better was coming. I was like, my God, my job as a writer is gone. I was ignorant and I got fearful as well. But you know what happened then? After the whole book came through, I I still remember and I laugh at this, cover to cover. I read that draft and I was just thinking, there cannot be a bigger disaster of a book than whatever this is. Because, see, AI doesn't have the capacity to hold long term structure, synthesis, memory. Those are your unique thinking skills. And we are believing that we can delegate them so we don't need to think anymore. Get me on this. That day I realized in 2023 itself, this is not going to be worth it. From that day on, I made a decision. I'm not going to use AI for my own writing. I never do. Do I use help of it for, let's say, writing some quick social media post because I don't have the time? Of course. But AI doesn't write the post for me. It has a proper brand voice guide. It has a proper decoded system of writing principles based on more than 6 years of my own writing. So I've done the work to collate that, to give AI something to work with, and that's why it's able to give me something. But all my foundational work, from my book writing to my newsletter writing, to some poem idea that I have, to some other things, I am absolutely clear. No AI, only my own brain, only my own thinking. Now, by the standard definitions of productivity which we associate with output, does that make me way slower than a lot of people? Maybe it does. But see, I don't measure my productivity in terms of output. I measure my productivity in terms of impact. And I've recognized this. AI can multiply your impact, but if you don't know how to think, AI cannot actually help you scale it. AI can multiply your output. AI can give you like 100 million different versions of the same copy and the same idea, but how much of it truly resonates? Well, you'll have no idea until you actually put it out there and make things happen. So, here's something I want to bring your attention back to. In the AI world, we are thinking, oh, AI is just going to think for everybody. AI is just going to do for everybody. Only that is half true, my friends. That's not fully true. Your skills, especially your thinking skills, are what will separate you from the average. Because think about it now. The response an AI can give you is as good as the questions you can ask. And what is required to ask the greatest questions? The skill of thinking. You see how we are circling back to here? Your logistical skills, your practical skills, all of that AI can do. Like, for example, I recently built a website, a landing page for one-to-one coaching. Not a single line of code is written by me, it's written by Claude. Not a single piece of design is done by me, it's done by Claude. But the fundamentals of the coaching, the processes, the positioning, all of that thinking is mine. So understand this very carefully. As AI advances, your ability to think and think big, and your ability to hold critical thinking, to hold paradoxical thoughts, to actually work through a problem without getting bored, and to nurture your mind as this incredibly powerful sanctuary that's also equally vulnerable and delicate, and you nurture it with that focus, with that well intentioned drive, you are going to have the edge that nobody in the world, and I mean nobody in the world, can stop you from creating the success you want. Take your job, take your business, take your money, you'll still make it big. Not because you have a new idea, but because you have built the skill and the capacity to come up with so many hundreds of ideas that you know how to make things work. You see where I'm coming from? In the age of AI, the importance of this thinking skill is only going to go higher, because what you think is who you are. What you think is what you can get done from AI. What you think and how you think and how you process problems is the new moat, is the new edge, is the new skill of the 21st century. It's not technical, it's not programming, it's something innately human that we are coming back to. Like, just think of this. We are the only primates on the planet who evolved into such incredibly complex thinking machines. Like, out of all the organs, it's our brain that works the hardest. It's our brain that consumes a lot of the calories as well, by the way. So, thinking is an important task, it's an efficient task, it's a part of who we are. Don't ever make the mistake of delegating this to something or someone or some tool that doesn't even know half as much as you do. I know this may seem like I'm talking bad about AI or I'm putting AI down. I'm not. I'm telling you the reality. If you don't have the skill, it's a mile wide but an inch deep. And that inch of depth is not going to get you anything. Why? Everybody's on that level. Very few people have the courage, the ability to dig deep and go to the core. If you can master that with your critical thinking skills and you build it, you are going to go to the next level. And the simplest way to do that, I mean, the easiest and the simplest way is sit down and start to think. Preferably externalize your thinking. Have a pen and notepad, not a computer. Pen and notepad just somehow always work better. So, pen and a notepad, and just let yourself think. I know it sounds like such a crazy proposition that I'm giving you, but try it out once. I'm telling you, you are going to be amazed at how refreshed your mind feels. All the slowness and this, fogginess that's been going on, and this sense of dread that doesn't seem to leave you. Think. Let yourself slow down your thinking. Let yourself be in the present moment, and preferably keep your phone away while you're doing this for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and see how much more sorted and clear you feel, because you finally gave your mind the space and the time to do what Solve is meant to do. Nurture and hone that skill, like that Olympic swimmer who shows up at the pool every single day, even if the competition is 4 years away. Build your edge today, and AI cannot touch you no matter what career you are in. It cannot affect you negatively. In fact, you will become a power user when you know how to think, but trust me on this. Do not delegate your skill of thinking. I experienced it when I delegated my writing in 2023. I'm never ever making that mistake again. I'm 100% sure. So, yes, try this out, think about it, and let me know how it goes. Again, as humans, we have something AI doesn't. We can experiment, we can learn, we can grow. So build this most important skill. It's very uncommon, and that's exactly why it puts you ahead of 90% of people in the game. People look for quick hacks. I'll tell you, this is the quickest hack, because once you understand the fundamentals of good thinking, nobody and nothing can ever stop you. Thank you so much for being here. It would be a very funny thing to say that I hope this was thought provoking, but I really hope it was. And I hope that it got you thinking more about how you should think, and what you should think, and what you should be afraid of, what you should not be afraid of. Build the depth. People who are scattered on a mile cannot even reach you. Only your competition will be those who actually have the courage to go that deep. And trust me, that number is not that high. So you're already in the league of achievers. The moment you make this decision of honing your critical thinking skills and working on them, it's the best investment you could make in the age of AI. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll see you once again tomorrow with another video and another topic that helps you grow and succeed and get to your next breakthrough. Bye. Thank you so much.